It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Show Me Some Television, this segment where I binge watch television thanks to the Show Me service from Rogers, which I'm currently getting for free because they think I'm paying too much for my internet, maybe? No. I think they're just testing the waters, so seeing as how I've got some internet, they want to give me something for free. I think it's to run up my internet bill. That's probably why. But anyways, here we are. I'm checking out Under the Dome Season 3, the final season, because the show was canceled. Go figure. So I've already covered Season 1 and Season 2. And here we are into Season 3, who, right off the bat, doesn't sit well with me. Now, Season 2 ended, I had a cliffhanger. You didn't know what was going to happen. And Season 3 starts off, and we're right into the opening credits, which essentially is, instead of just being an opening credit, it is a recap of what's come before. And if you know Under the Dome, you know that every episode starts with a recap. So while you're watching the entirety of Season 3, you have a recap followed by a recap. How much recap do we need? Honestly. Were they that lazy they couldn't come up with an opening sequence or even just use the old, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. It just irked me right off the bat. And then, yeah, not to give too much of it away, we get a sort of starts off with a Matrix type scenario, which then evolves into a Invasion of the Body Snatchers type thing going on. And so, yeah, the whole Under the Dome portion of it. And it's weird. I think more time passed in the third season than did in the entire first and second season. And you'll know, if you watch the second season review, you'll know how I felt about the timeline that was introduced there. But by the end of Season 3, I think an entire month has passed, maybe more. And yet Season 3 feels more like it is done in maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. It seems like 4 or 5 days has passed, or not a lot. Yeah, it's the one season where it really does feel like it's just continuous going-ons, and one day ends and the next day begins. Yeah, it does not, maybe a weekend most, it does not seem like a lot of time has passed, but yeah, it was weird. The timeline is really weird in Under the Dome, and it is one of the things that bugged me right from the get-go. Season 1, they don't really give you an idea of the timeline, so you figure it's longer. Season 2, they tell you it's much shorter than you thought. And then Season 3 feels shorter but is longer. I don't know. It's just blows your head. Whatever. Just they shouldn't have brought time in there whatsoever. Just don't use it. If like Season 2, Season 3 introduces some new characters, which at least in this one they weren't just hiding out in a house somewhere and the town didn't know who they were. No, at least this one, there's a reason why nobody knows who they are or where they came from type thing. One of them, and sort of I would say the main character of Season 3, is played by Marg Helgenberger, who you would know if you watch CSI at all. That's her big claim to fame now. She's also in Intelligence, and she was in Species 2, but in Species and Species 2. She was in both of them as the Doctor. But yeah, she is sort of the main bad guy, if you will. But that's not a spoiler. It's pretty clear right from the get-go that she's not somebody you want to trust. She's also followed up by someone played by Kylie Bunbury, who, oddly enough, I wouldn't have known. She hasn't been in a lot, but she was in the miniseries Tut, which you may have seen me do an unboxing of the Blu-ray not too long ago, which I watched. She plays the character Suhad, which is sort of like the not Tutankhamun's wife, but his mistress, if you will. And so it was like weird to see her. I was like, wow, I just saw you in something else. And honestly, the only other thing she's ever really been in is some TV show called Twisted, which I've never seen. She was the character of Lacey Porter. But again, she is sort of a secondary main character introduced into this third season. And you get your regulars have come back. Colin Ford playing the Joe McAllister, or Dean Norris as Jim Rennie. They're all back. Some more than others. Others not so much. Yeah, it's one of those things. This season really kind of took the first two seasons and went, we don't really need them anymore. Because anything that was sort of introduced in the first two seasons that was needed to be changed, needed to be modified, they just sort of did. They just did. They just said, this person was the person in charge. It wasn't the person you thought it was all along. You're like, what? Okay, whatever. I don't know how that's possible. But speaking of things that irked me about Under the Dome Season 3, in this one they talk about bringing the dome down and what they need to do that. Now, here's the thing that I don't quite get. It had been established earlier on in the series that the egg was powering the dome. Well, the egg is destroyed in Season 3, and you would think that the dome would go down. But no, that is not the case. Okay, so something's keeping the dome up. So there's other power sources, apparently. And even when those are destroyed and lost, the dome doesn't come down. No, apparently the only way to get the dome down is to do this elaborate plan to send a signal to it. A special signal. Almost like a key. And yet, you can essentially get in and out of the dome, because people have been doing it. People left the dome, people are getting in the dome. So, yeah. If the dome is supposed to come down, what is the point of the dome? I guess, the people in there are trapped. That's the point of the dome. It's to keep these people together so that they can fulfill some kind of destiny that they're... I don't know. Was it all foretold? Is that what this whole thing is supposed to be about? And if that's the case, then really, they didn't do a good job for telling anything, considering the ending to this season. Yeah, I question the whole dome portion of the series because it makes no sense to me anymore. If it was one thing to protect people from something, great. But that something never materializes. If it was one thing to keep people locked in, great. But why need some elaborate plan to turn it off? Couldn't the people in charge, just go, oh, well, now that everything's set up, we know what to do. We created the dome, essentially, and just be like, on switch, off switch, done, dome is down. No, they have some crazy, elaborate... Yeah. It's... For an advanced alien civilization, I have to say they really did not think things through very well. Just saying. They're trying to control and manipulate everything, and yet they kind of put all their eggs into one basket, and yeah, not a good idea. Not a good idea. Yeah, the dome. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, and it's, like I said, it is very much an Invasion of the Body Snatchers type story, which is a complete reversal from what we've had in the first 2 seasons, which were about surviving and surviving under the dome. This was not so much about that. It wasn't a way, but only minuscule. It has one of those endings that, of course, lends itself to have more seasons, but nobody wanted to see that. Yeah, it is. Well, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, season 4 would have had to have been a sort of like Prison Break season 2, where you're not in the prison. I don't think I've seen Prison Break season 2, because as soon as I heard that, I was like, really? Prison Break is not about breaking out of prison? Yeah, that's what season 4 would have had to have been. It wouldn't have been about Under the Dome. It would have been about, I think they probably would have had to change the the title of the show to Outside of the Dome, or Finally Free of the Dome, or something like that. That is a kind of a spoiler, but not really. You knew eventually they'd have to get out from the dome, because especially with season 3, once you start going through it, it's like, well, there is no, I don't know where else you could have gone. You could have done more stuff under the dome, but honestly, the supplies were dwindling through the season 1 and season 2, and in season 3 they're like practically gone, and yet somehow things just look exactly the same as they did through the first 2 seasons. Whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But oddly enough, in season 3, because of the situations that they're dealing with, they started to do stuff I figured they would have, come to figure out in the first 2 seasons, which was, like pooling your resources and coming together as a community to survive. It apparently takes an alien invasion of sorts to bring that about, which is kind of sad. Yeah. Under the Dome season 3 really is the weakest of the 3 seasons, and it's no surprise that it didn't make it to a season 4. The acting goes downhill. There are still several people in the show who are really playing their parts. Then there's others that seem to they're just not giving it their all. And then there's some people you're just like, you're just phoning it in. You didn't want to be there anymore. But like it is in season 1 and season 2, anybody can die. Anybody is fair game, really. There is a lot of backstabbing, a lot of double crossing going on. And if that's what you've enjoyed from Under the Dome season 1 and season 2, then hey, you've got some more going on in season 3, and it's a very different feel. So I don't know, maybe you would enjoy season 3 just as much. I, on the other hand, enjoyed season 1 and the post-apocalyptic survival portions. Season 2 got a little bit away from that, and it was more, the sci-fi elements. Well, season 3 goes total sci-fi. And that whole surviving thing, they conveniently forgot about that until it was sort of like a plot device. It was only convenient to bring it back up when the writers needed to put some characters together, make them do something along those lines. And yeah, there's a few things where you're just like, you get the hint of what was really happening in the show, but they never really go back to it to explain it, and which is fine, I guess. It's not really important, but I think they could have made it important. And that being said, it really, would have furthered the tension and the conflict in the season, but instead they decided to go in a different route and kind of tell this weird sort of artificial story. It really is about humans and their freedoms and their emotions and what makes a human. That it's a theme that's played out many times before. So that's one of the reasons why Under the Dome season 3, everything that's there, it's been there, done that. It's all stuff that's been seen before, and it's been done so much better. So much better. I mean, there are single episodes of some sci-fi series and some, well, not even just sci-fi, but of other television series out there where just a single episode alone deals with the same exact subject this entire season does, and does it better. That being said, if you're a fan of Under the Dome, then maybe you like to see that drawn out and through an entire season. I just wasn't. So season 3 for me is a thumbs down completely. I wasn't buying it, and I'm kind of happy I don't have to see a season 4 to say I've watched all of Under the Dome. At the same time, I may watch all 3 seasons again. I don't know. I'm weird like that. So there you go, guys. Under the Dome as a series on a whole, 3 seasons worth. 3 very different feeling seasons. Yeah, if you liked season 1, like me, then it's probably a downward arc. If you didn't like season 1 and you stuck with it, maybe it was an upward mark. Maybe you like season 1 2 better. Maybe you like season 3 even more. But yeah, as it is, it just seems like there's nobody trustworthy. Nobody's willing to really, even though, everybody's help the community. It's always, help the community. Everybody who's a main character is all about themselves, and it completely goes against what needs to be done in a situation like this. And as such, I mean, I guess it makes for interesting television, but I think it would have been nicer if that wasn't the case, because, yeah, they just kept letting people live. Honestly, people who needed to die, people who kept killing people, they kept getting caught, they kept getting found out, and then they kept letting them live, just so that they could go kill some more people. Maybe that's why season 3 is a little bit weird, because all those people you thought should have died in season 1 and season 2, they kind of turn into the good guys, but not really the good guys, but kind of the good guys. Yeah. Maybe that's the problem. You never really know who the good guys are in Under the Dome. Even the good guys have serious flaws. Some people would say that just makes them human. I don't know that most human beings have the kind of flaws that are in these people. There are some major flaws. So, anyways, guys, have at it if you will. I would not recommend watching Under the Dome. I've seen all 3 seasons, and yeah. No. But if you are at all intrigued and the idea kind of tickles you, you could do worse. It's at least watchable. It's got some effects going on, better effects than some of the other shows that are out there. And the characters, the acting is generally better than normal. So, like I said, you could do worse. So, there you go. That is Under the Dome, Season 3, and my thoughts on the entire series as a whole. Thanks for watching. Till next video, take care. Have a good one.